Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Yes, good evening, and it's quite an evening.
Yeah, it's been quite a day. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of excitement. So, many nights I wake up around 3 a.m., and many nights I can't get back to sleep till 5 or 6 a.m. So, what I do is go into a meditation and draw Cindy into it as well. And a lot of times that's when we get some of our best downloads, our best channelings, our best communications with our guides, the Galactic Federation, the Pleiadians. And last night was a really, really good one. Lots and lots of info. Some new beings came through as well. Very interesting.
It is very interesting, but there is one commonality when they come through. They keep telling us what the most important thing to do is understand and recognize what's going on around us, but please, 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 for the sake of advancement of this life, don't get sucked in.
So yeah, you're going to be bombarded, and you are being bombarded with this energy to pull you into a side. And we see it time and time again, and it can be a challenge because we've been so indoctrinated, we've been so brought up with societal conditioning. And, I was brought up in a very democratic family. My parents, they always just voted Democratic straight on down the line, every single time. And, I had many discussions with my mother, who was somebody that followed politics and history. And, it was frustrating to not get her to open up her eyes to the possibility that, maybe you have an incomplete picture going on. And she would always say, well, I don't know. And I would say, well, let me help you, and still it was the case of, because she was following a lot of the mainstream. And again, this is a person that was born in 1929. That's what she was used to. And they trusted blindly. Yeah. They trusted blindly in the country, the process. They didn't think there could be anything going on, underhanded or sinister, or ulterior motives. So why are we looking at Operation Paperclip, right? Well, it kind of says it all. The Nazis didn't lose. They moved to America. And when you look at Werner von Braun, NASA administrator, Arthur Rudolph, NASA scientist, Sidney Gottlieb, CIA, TSS, MK Ultra, from 1945 to 1955, Operation Paperclip granted nearly 1,000 German scientists American citizenship. Even though some of these people did experimentation on human beings that would have been most definitely against the Geneva Convention, things to, in many cases, play with DNA, promote an ideology of racial superiority, and things that are just damn nasty through and through. So these people came into the upper echelons, of our scientific research, development, and many of the, biggest names that we hear of in our society, for those of you that follow channels like this, NOAA, NASA, and we're talking about the CIA and other alphabet soup agencies. It really has affected our country and the ideology. And, we can thank them for many advances, but at the same time, at what cost? And when we end up hearing people like Kennedy and Eisenhower warning us of this building military-industrial complex, and perhaps those warnings were not heeded by enough people. The Nazis were all about the occult. They were all about finding hidden artifacts. They were all about the vril, which is prana, ki, chi, life force. When we practice QiGong, we are cultivating the life force, the vril in German. And they were also able to make contact with certain beings that gave them a technological advantage. Again, Nazi Germany was not a huge country by any means. And yet what they achieved was amazing because their technology was superior at the beginning of the war. And, there is that line of thinking. There's declassified documents. There's rumors galore that they got their technology from these Nordic-looking aliens, extraterrestrials, of the Nordic type, which really corresponds to Pleiadians when you get down to it. And that doesn't mean that all Pleiadians are evil. As you see this, now this is perhaps simplifying it. Nordic aliens are as evil as the reptilians. The harvest of humans is coming. Don't get on the ships. Look at the shape of that ship.
Yeah.
We've talked about, yes. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, Oumuamua, and we've gotten information that was a scout ship and that it is going back to get friends and could bring back more, and there could be a problem.
Yeah, and most definitely I think people's stomachs are churning in some of the higher levels of society and the political realm, those in the know, because, there are Pleiadians. There are these Nordic Pleiadians that are under Draco control. And what happens, well, look at the Roman Empire. Okay, let's just use this analogy. And other empires as well.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan did this as well. When you conquer people, you get them to basically pledge themselves to you. So they come under your control and your power. In many cases, you might pull back your entire army and just might take tribute, or you might leave some of your army to be doing some military policing. And by the way, the United States has been in over 90% of the countries of the world militarily for the last 5 years minimum. And so that policing effect is still going on. We have the draconian system here. This is a draconian system that we're living in. And we could trace it, not just through the U.S. or the New Atlantis, to Britain, the British Empire on which the sun never set, to the Holy Roman Empire, back to the Roman Empire, back to the Sumerians, back to the Anunnaki, back to these Anunnaki beings. And, I've been saying to Cindy, I don't know what to really call them, because the Anunnaki is a broad term. Those from whom the heavens came, or those that are from the heavens that came to earth. I was thinking, well, maybe we should just call them Enkyites and Enlilites. Or Anunites, I don't know. We can make up whatever term, because there's many different races out there. There's tons of different races of beings out there. But when we're talking about those are a hybrid of basically Pleiadians, humanoid with reptilian. And again, think about going back to Middle Ages and everything. The ruling elite always marry within for the bloodlines. And a lot of times marriages were brought about to achieve political stability. Okay, now we're going to marry. And that way, we're not going to attack each other. We're going to work together. We're going to attack them. And that's kind of what goes on a galactic scale as well. So when we look at the shape of that ship and we think about Oumuamua and the fact that it may be coming back again, the ones that we see the first go around, because we're going to be seeing some actual ETs in many of our lives. And there are a lot of challenges coming. The first ones that we're going to see are going to be the ones that are behind, whatever you want to call it, the secret government, the true government, the shadow government. I think the word deep state isn't descriptive enough, because I think that's still being in the matrix, thinking it's just a deep state. It's much more than that. The political system is just a charade. This is all about, just letting them think they have the semblance of freedom, but in reality they don't, because they just don't understand the bigger picture as far as the masses. You guys that are watching this probably get it. Most of you get it and understand what's really going on. So the Nordic ones we're going to see first introduced to us are the ones that are under the control of the reptilians. And again, that doesn't mean that all the Nordics are bad, quite the opposite. Most of them are not under the control of the reptilians. Most of them are fighting against the Draco, against the reptilians, and against all their minions. So yeah, because the Pleiadians are really like our cousins when you get down to it.
Well, yeah, and just like human beings, and different, we are all different, and there are some of us that are really bad, and that doesn't mean that all of us are bad. So we have to look at things on just look at ourselves and then apply that to a grander scale.
So we have to recognize everything is just a million different shades of gray. And it's not so black and white, and it is convoluted at times. So one of the things that you got was that these Nordics were compromised.
Yes. They were definitely compromised. It was like they had to do what they were doing. Not because they liked it, but because they had to.
Right. And so, one of the other things that we got, well, we're going to tell you in a few moments, but we see the Snowden documents reveal Nazi aliens now rule the U.S. And so this is coming from whistleblower Snowden, as so many people know, and there's a reason why he's been the target, and the powers that be would love to be able to get their hands on him and just eliminate him from history. So, these documents show there is a U.S. alien Hitler link. And again, we talked about Operation Paperclip. And, there's many sources that are talking about this. Aliens helped Hitler, and then they helped us. And there's a reason why the U.S. won the Cold War, which is turning hot again, and is part of the bigger plan as well. And so, when we see the grays are just worker bees. Many cases, they're actually kind of, android drones. Probably most of the times, they're not actually really truly living beings in the sense that we see them. But yet, those are seen more than just about anything. So we see the connection there. U.S. Navy received technology from an alien race to fight against the Nazis and other aliens, so says a book by William Tompkins. And he was on many, many shows on Gaia, as well as others as well, and coming forward. He's not the only one. There's tons of other people that have been whistleblowers. Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Prime Minister, he came right out and said the same thing. He said the same thing. When you get down to it, it's an extraterrestrial world it's possessed by them. They're the actual power behind the faces and the figureheads we see. And so power has gone on down. And so what we got was that, there are different factions amongst the extraterrestrials that are under the Draco. And just like Enki and Enlil, well, if you're humanity, you got to kind of be rooting for Enki over Enlil, because Enlil would just get rid of us in a heartbeat. Whereas Enki at least wants to save us, but then we can't say he's really benevolent, because at the same time he wants to keep us in an inferior position. And when Anu offered the ability of humans to rise up to the status of the quote-unquote gods, Enki tricked us into not taking it and not accepting it. And, that shows you that still they want to maintain their control. After all, they view us as a slave race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've just been in a position where they make us feel that we're free. It's always been an illusion.
It's always been an illusion. And, that's the bottom line. So when we hear about the warning about the growing military-industrial complex, which is, control, there's different factions that we have going on here. And so we know that there's no love lost between Biden and Trump. That's obvious. But what we got was that basically Trump is being empowered by these Nordics that are really the same beings that also helped the Nazis.
Yeah, and it's just this. I know this is a lot to take in for some people. I know you guys kind of sort of know what's going on, but this is really coming to like a pinnacle of something big, and a lot of people feel it.
So, in effect, you have one group that would rather just get rid of us or bring us down to a very, very small number that's extremely manageable, or just replace us, with more worker bee drones, what have you. And then you have the other group that would rather do recruitment to fight for the empire, so to speak, and to slowly let us know that we're in a galactic war. And ultimately would have us fighting against the ones that are trying to free us, which is, beings like the Arcturians, most of the Pleiadians, Andromedans, Syrians, others as well.
But, we have to pull up our own britches and free ourselves using our own free will.
So, that is the tricky part. Yeah. That is really the tricky part with all this, because people are caught in this drama, this dance going on, of basically trying to entrap us. And as I shared with you guys, I know on early videos I did back in, well, even before I did videos, I knew that if Hillary came in, I think most of the population in the U.S. would be gone already. However, I knew that if Trump came in, we were going to be facing martial law and a military dictatorship. And I think it's the same thing. You know, if we had a Biden in there, then obviously it's going to be mandatory inoculations for all, full power, full steam forward on all the other things that we know are going to come in with that. But if Trump stayed in for the second term, we're going to end up under military dictatorship. But it doesn't matter because I don't think there's going to be a second term. And so that's what we got as well. Before I go to that one, let me just go to these. So this was back on August 6th. And so we streamed a message from the Galactics to brace yourselves for what's coming. And we talked about the order of presidential succession because we got it that something is going to happen that's going to make it appear that President Trump is no longer with us, which is not really going to be true. Not that we have gotten anything that he's going to roll out later or what have you, but just that it's going to appear that he's no longer with us. And of course we have that cryptic saying that we talked about in yesterday's video, where he said, there's very powerful people coming after me, and this may be the last time you see me for a very long while. And so now that's giving hope to all the people that are Q people, that he's disappearing while they're cleaning out the bunkers. And already you're seeing that coming through. And again, to me, that's pure disinfo. That's all about keeping you wrapped up in this whole drama that's going on. Although, I think we are going to see a lot of chaos. And I don't really feel, and Cindy doesn't either, and with the message we got is not one that means that Joe Biden's the next president either.
Right. No, I keep getting this vision of a man who, I don't know, has like dark hair, blue eyes, and we found some pictures that look similar to my vision, but it's like they've put in all of these laws through the Patriot Act, and it's not really going to be the process in which we think they're going to shove out a whole set of new laws because there's an emergency and somebody else is going to end up.
Yeah, so we were talking about Esper looking like, yes. Esper looks the most like what Cindy saw, not exactly, but the closest. So we had talked about that back on August 6th. So it's going on about 2 months now. And then we did this one back in June 13th, plain and simple. They're weakening the West to allow for a Red Dawn scenario, which is coming shortly. And I've seen that vision since 1984. And that's quite a while, and I've had that multiple times throughout meditations and then just waking up with it in my mind and seeing that scenario. So once the Civil War is rolling out, that's what's going to come next. It might come right after it or right during when it starts to. It is close. So it's a matter of preparing ourselves for this. And this I did back on October 8th, 2018. Polarization, Civil War, and then getting into all those talks of sealed indictments and military tribunals, which have never materialized. Never. Sure, we got an Epstein, we got a couple little things going on, but in the bigger scheme of thing, pawns are sacrificed all the time. Sometimes you sacrifice a rook, sometimes even a bishop. Maybe you would even sacrifice the queen to win at times, or the king. Corona, king. Interesting. So what is to come? Trump, 1900, last president, Baron Trump's great adventures, and our Earth. So many things go together. Polarization is how they're bringing this about, getting us to choose to make a statement, say, it's all the left, it's all the right. If you keep going back into that, you're hopelessly chasing your tail in circles. We've had almost 4 full years, and we haven't seen anything. We really haven't seen anything. And of course, people want change. They are desperate for change, and they want to believe in something and somebody, and that's what it is. We recognize the system's broken, and there's no Band-Aid big enough to fix this system. The whole system has to go, and it is going to go. That's basically the bottom line. It is going to go, but it is going to be a big event. It's going to take a while. It's going to be a case of we have to keep our vibes high. That's the most important thing. And so it's fascinating that the whole Baron Trump series and the books and stuff, it does talk about inner earth beings. And of course we have the Hopi with the ant people. Now the ant people saved some humans by bringing them into the inner earth and riding out the storm in the last cataclysm. Which, if we look at it from a younger Dryas perspective, maybe that was 11,700 years ago. Well, the ant people are still around. And, last night was really interesting because we got some communication from them. And it was really curious because I was not aware of their presence around me previously.
Yeah, they are around. They're still around. And actually, they can work through some humans, sort of kind of taking over that essence. And they're actually pretty benevolent.
Yeah, well, they are because they saved a lot of people.
Yes.
They saved the Hopi, and then they let the Hopi know when it was okay to go back to the surface. And so what Cindy picked up on, and I could see the presence, I could see the energy. So I know when the beings are there because I could actually see them with my visible eyes, my physical eyes. And last night I was getting a lot, I could see the energy swirling, and then I would see faces with my third eye coming through. And so there were some non-humanoid beings that were coming through, including these ant people. And again, they were saying that they will end up helping, along with other benevolent ETs, in taking some people up off planet, others into planet. So they're not going to let us totally destroy ourselves. They will always save a remnant. And they are still working with so many other positive beings to help us, and yet we still are basically in a free will situation where they can't interfere and just fight the Draco directly. Again, realize this is just one little outpost in a multi-dimensional galactic war that is just incredibly vast. So again, you have different rules, laws, regulations, you have treaties that we don't even know about. There's all these things that make it so that, and we see this during when wars break out in general, there's a lot of countries that will covertly aid other countries. They won't come straight out and send their military in, but they'll do it in a covert manner where they're kind of hiding it, kind of slipping it under the table, so as not to break any rules, regulations, laws, and treaties, and that's kind of, or free will, and that's kind of what we have going on right now.
Yes, we do, and it's just things that we may not understand here on the 3D, that we've never been exposed to, that, actually it wouldn't really be fair if we were exposed to it, because then we're not using our own free will.
And so, what we got was that they've actually worked with me in a past life or lives, and I was not aware of it. Some of the guides I thought were perhaps more humanish were not really humanish, but just in order to not shock you, they appear. So what did they do? Like what did it come looking like?
What I saw was like a Native American woman, and she looked at me, but then she took her mask off. She took her human head off, and it was an ant person. And the image and the vibration was, I am here in this form. I do not want to scare you, but this is who I truly am, and tell him. Yeah.
Right. So, that is very interesting. And so we know that many of these beings they're so far advanced of most of us, that they can take they're shapeshifters. They could take different forms, both the malevolent like Draco, and then also the benevolent ant people of the Hopi, that have been so revered in Hopi legends. So when you see somebody, it might appear to look even like a human angel, but it might not actually be a human angel.
Right, because we're so conditioned. A lot of people have possibly had bad experience with insects, and even insectoid-looking bigger beings, because they're not all benevolent, and they mask themselves as not to shock.
Yep. So that's really interesting. And, we could go back to the Bible. Some have attended angels unaware.
Right.
And that's very much the case. And when you get down to it, we're all consciousness. We're all energy. The physical body is just a vehicle, and we've had other bodies in the past. We have not always necessarily all been just human.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And we might not always incarnate here. Now, one of the other messages that I was picking up on was, do not allow yourself to lower your vibration, as Cindy has said, because, for instance, if they could get you to lower your vibration enough that you're out there and you're creating havoc too, you're grabbing a weapon and heading to the front lines, and you end up creating, and doing these not so benevolent acts, even though you might not, or even, if you did get killed here in this life doing something like that, you might find yourself right back in another 3D situation, a different planet perhaps than planet Earth, and still one that's under the draconian system. That is what they are doing also. They might lose you on planet Earth, but if they get you to lower your vibration, commit atrocities, then you'll perhaps incarnate back on a planet in a 3D realm under their control still.
And, there's many ways to raise your vibration, but one of the best things that you can do just to at least level yourself out is don't get sucked into the sides of the media. And I say just like turn off the news, really, and sit with yourself, go within, find a good hobby, raise your vibration that way.
Meditate and QiGong. Realize that you can cultivate the life force and grow stronger and healthier. And this is why you have the teaching of Christ that says no more eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, because that keeps you in the same 3D loop, the same reincarnational cycle that'll bring you right back under another draconian system. Instead, you're going to have to turn the cheek, and you're going to have to trust. And have that faith and belief that you will not lower yourself to do these things. And, that's what this system is all about. It's all about keeping you in this lower vibrational loop in which, you're out of the body and then you come back in and you're in the same situation again. And Buddha spoke about this and warned about this, so have so many others. So it's cultivating love and compassion. When somebody tries to egg you on and get you into an argument, just ignoring it, walking away, just not allowing yourself to fall into it. That's the biggest thing right now.
It's so important, because it's like the rescue mission is to get all of our souls up to a higher level. So we don't want to keep buying into what they're feeding us, and at least just understand that it's a puppet show. If we can look at it more as an observer and understand that these truly are puppets, it really is a stage, that alone can help you get out of that vicious cycle of anger and regret and frustration that is given to you by the media.
So we are eternal souls, that cannot be destroyed, having a 3D experience. However, we can be trapped in a loop.
Yes.
And that's what they're doing. They're trapping us in a loop. So we have to recognize that, because what's inside of us is every bit as powerful, and actually even really more powerful. If you are cultivating the love and the compassion in your heart, you will rise way up past them. Way up past them. So, do not allow them to bring your vibration down. That's the bottom line that we have been getting. And, prepare yourself, but recognize, who you are within. And we can do amazing things. So, guys, thank you so much for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Stay safe out there, stay prepared, and cultivate the love and peace within.
God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.